Hello, I'm Randall Whiteman. Today I'll be running through a demonstration of the Epicor ERP version 10 interface navigation using the standard Epicor demo instance. I will run through the home screen structure, including favorites tiles, the menu structure, structure of a typical program, and three types of inquiries offered in the standard Epicor ERP application. Alright, let's get started. So I've logged into Epicor ERP 10 and it brings us straight into the home screen, which is what we are currently viewing. So the first thing I'll show is the company indicator in the top right hand corner. Currently shows we are in Epic 06 company called Epicor Education in the site main. In the bottom right hand corner we can also see we are logged on as the user called manager. If we would like to move between sites or companies, we can click on the link, and in the left hand side we can choose to log into a different company if we have security access, and likewise on the right hand side we can choose to change the site by choosing a different site and then clicking the save and close, or just double clicking on the site. For now we'll leave ourselves logged into the Epic Education and the main site. Okay. On the home screen, the squares that you see are called tiles. In the left hand side you can see the recent forms, and that shows the applications the logged on user has recently accessed. We can also see in the middle of the screen a series of favorites tiles. This is where we can set up a shortcut to access commonly used applications in a consistent structure. So for instance, purchasing applications can be grouped together for consistent access by anybody performing purchasing function. In the middle of the screen we also see a series of three standard tiles. The menu, which we will go into, we'll navigate through this in a moment. We can see the settings. Won't go too much into the settings. And we can also see the standard Epicor help. You can drag and drop the tiles around the screen. I won't show that now. In the top right hand corner we also see the navigation buttons. So because we have gone into the menu settings and help, those screens are open in the background, and we can use the navigation buttons to move between the open applications. And we can use the home screen button to move back to the home at any time. We can also view the open forms at the top of the screen. So we open the forms bar with the little drop down arrow, and by clicking on any of the open forms we can go straight to that open form. And also if we would like to close them, we can use the X to exit those open forms. Clicking anywhere back on the home screen will close the open forms bar. In the top right hand corner, the search button will open up the search, where we can search over any application just by typing in part of the program name. So for instance, if we were to type customer, when menu search is activated, it will show us any program where customer is in the name of the program. It's very useful for searching for new applications. End users would be encouraged to use the favorites to access the commonly used applications. There is also a Google search for searching general web information, and any application that is currently open you can also set that you can search under that application. So we can see here that I have previously had the customer application open. Okay. Back on the home screen, we'll also notice if we open up some of the favorites tiles by clicking in the bottom right hand arrow. So we open 2 and the tiles extend off the right hand side of the screen. We can see the zoom button. Clicking on that will show all of the open favorites tiles. Clicking zoom again will just zoom in and out. Okay. At the bottom of the home screen we have the application bar. Click on the arrow there to drag up the application bar. Depending on security access, you'll have some of these buttons may not appear. So the change user button will bring up a login prompt to log in as a different user. The add to users, you can also add a new tile if you have security access. And there are various other options in the applications bar as well. It's just worth noting the favorites tiles would be set up according to business process normally. This is the demo environment, so they're grouped towards functionality of the system. Okay, let's have a more detailed look at the Epicor standard menu. So on the top right hand corner we have the zoom view, which is more of a touchscreen button view of the menus. We can see if we choose to zoom in, then the buttons show up, but it also loses visibility of some of the buttons. Moving back to the tree view, you can see the entire tree structure. Also on the applications list of applications, you can also view that as tiles, and clicking the same button again will move back to list view. In terms of the tree structure, the menu structure itself, the top level of the structure is referred to as the module category. So we can see there's sales management, service management, production management, and so on. The second level of the menu tree, the menu structure, is the module. Under sales management we have customer relationship management module, case management module, quote management module, etc. And then the third level of the tree below the logged in site is the function. So consistently there are setup functions, general operations functions, and then some modules also have a reports menu function. Clicking on the function level will then show the programs available for that particular function within that module. Opening up any application will then show there's a small bar that quickly popped up as the application was loading, and that's the status slider, indicates the form is opening. Okay, let's go and have a look back at close down those open forms, and we'll have a look a bit more detail at the structure of a particular program interface using the customer maintenance. Okay. So the first thing to note is there are some common elements to all programs. In the top left-hand corner, the common Microsoft file structure and edit are common across the applications, as are the Tools menu. One point to note under the Tools menu, under Options, is to tick on the Memory Cache option. That puts the structure of the application itself into memory, and when the application is opened the next time, the application will open faster because all that is needed to be retrieved from the server is the data for the application, not the forms, the application structure itself. Okay, the Actions menu. This is specific for the context that the user is currently looking at. So what I mean by that is the context is currently the customer detail, and so the actions here are appropriate for the customer. It's also, there is no customer currently selected, therefore the options would also be limited currently. There is also alternative key navigation. So you can use the common Microsoft Alt key. So for instance, press the Alt key and F for file. And my server is currently having a small problem. I'm using a demonstration server which hasn't got so many resources. Okay, hold down the Alt key and F will bring up the file menu, as will, for instance, Alt A for the Actions menu. There's one way of using a shortcut, Alt F, and then using the down arrow or the arrow keys. Is a way of using the keyboard if it's faster to use the keyboard than the mouse. Okay, let's go and have a look at the standard toolbar. That's below the program menu toolbar. The first button is the new button. So clicking on the button itself will create a new record for the current context where the user is looking. Again, the current context is the customer detail, therefore clicking the new button itself will create a new customer. The drop down arrow shows all of the different records which can be created through the customer maintenance application, through the program itself. So if we are in a customer and we are in the Contacts tab, clicking New will create a new contact for that customer. Then we have the standard Save button and Delete buttons and various other buttons. Two buttons to note would be the Clear button. If there is information on the form, you can press the Clear button to clear all the information currently on the form to start afresh, as if you've just opened the program. And also the Undo, if you've just created a new record but you didn't want to do that particular action, you can undo the last action. Moving to the right, we have the Search. So there's a couple of ways of activating search if you are searching for a new customer. You can click the Binoculars Search button, or you can also click the Customer button as well. So let's use the Binoculars Search button. Now there's some consistency here as well. You have the Sort By and Starting At fields. Below that are fields which are specific for the data being searched for, so the search context. In this case, the territory and customer type are specific to the customer master data. You can enter in here, or you can just click the search button and scroll through the customers. In this case, the demo system doesn't have all that many customers. You can then choose a particular customer, or you can use the normal Microsoft holding down the Shift key to select a block, and then the Control key to select individual records. Okay, so that was a bit fast then. So just showing that again, we can click the search. So we can click the Addison and Barristan Engineering and a few other customer records. You can then click the OK button to bring back those selected customers into the customer maintenance application. Okay, so we can see that we have then, you can use the drop down in the navigation to show the customers, and clicking on one of the customers there will bring up the details for that customer in the application. Okay, and you can also then scroll back and forth by normal record selection buttons. So now let's have a look at, we'll choose Addison, and right clicking on the customer will bring up a context menu. So it's very important to recognize the open with context menu. Any data that has a search function has an open with where you can open related applications. So in this case, we could create a CRM call, create a new sales order, or maybe open the customer inquiry. In Epicor, inquiries are called trackers. So we could open up the customer tracker, which is almost a replication, a read-only replication of the customer maintenance, with some additional read-only data. Okay. There are various other functions on the context menu. I'm just showing the basic features. Alright, now let's do that again, and we will open up the customer tracker. As it opens up the related application, it automatically populates the customer. And we've got the tree on the left, which shows some of the record structure, and it's a quick navigation to parts of the customer tracker. So for instance, the national account, if we were to choose, say, under the price list, then that would be equivalent to choosing the financials and price lists sub-tab. And similarly with the contacts. Alright, now in terms of the grids in Epicor are really quite powerful. So let's have a look at the Orders tab, and there's some filtering, there's some functionality, some basic filtering functionality built into the standard application. You can show open or closed. In this case, we'll look at all orders. Now you have to retrieve the records, and the grids in Epicor ERP 10 are really similar to Excel functionality. So it's really quite easy to resequence the columns. Let's say we'll choose the show the line, and then say the customer reference PO, the need by date, so let's drag that across. And say the part, and also the quantity. You'll set this up based on your own business needs, just showing the basic functionality. Now there's also a grouping functionality, so we can show group by, and if we want to group by the purchase orders, we just drag the column header that we would like to group by and drag it up into the drag column section. Now we can see that the grid is grouped by the purchase orders. We can also summarize. So for instance, if we would like to summarize the quantities per purchase order, we can activate the show summaries, and against quantity we can say count the let's say sum the quantities in the purchase order. Okay. It also has grid filtering functionality. So again, we activate the grid filter functionality, and it's very similar to Excel, where for instance if we would like to we can just choose a particular value, or there's also the ability to custom set. Okay, I won't do that right now. And when we have the setup, that structure will stay there when you close the application, so for your particular user. So when you've got your grid set up as you would like, then it will stay there for as a personalization on that particular application under the logged in user ID. And one of the very cool features of the grids is the exporting to Excel. So if we right click anywhere on the grid and copy to Excel, it will copy to Excel, including the structure that has been, the grouping structure which has been set up. Okay, now so that's the customer tracker. Now I'd like to show some additional program interface features, and this time I'll use the sales order screen. So let's open up the order entry. Now the order entry can be customized at a program level, but there's also some just basic moving around of the forms that can be done at a personalization level, at a user level. So we can see here that we have header information and we have many sub-tabs, but just as an example, say we consistently used the miscellaneous charge functionality and also the comments functionality for both the headers and the lines. So at the line level, there's also the detail of one line, the list of all the lines of the order, miscellaneous charges and comments. The standard structure of the application would need the user to click in and out of these tabs to access the information. But I'll just show here that it is possible to restructure just by clicking and dragging the header. Okay, let me just try that again. Click and drag the header. Server might be running a little bit slow for me to do this demonstration effectively. You move the tab against the bottom of the screen, and it will dock to the screen. Okay, that's better. Okay, miscellaneous charges, and I'll try and do the same. Try to do the same with the comments. Okay, so let's move the comments down as well, and we'll just move that to the right hand side. Excellent. Alright, so now we can see that we have the header detail, and we also have miscellaneous charge information for the header level and comments for the header level as well. We'll do the same thing with the lines. So we'll show, this time we'll show a list of the lines. Excellent, and we'll just minimize the width of that for the moment. And then we'll also show miscellaneous charges. Try and make the miscellaneous charges dock to the bottom of the screen. And the comments as well. It's not quite what I was trying to do. So now let's try and dock the list to the side of the screen. There we go. Okay, and we can also minimize, auto hide the tree view, so we don't really need that. So now at the lines level, we can see we have a screen where we show all of the lines of the order. We have the detail of the selected line, and then we have for the selected line showing the miscellaneous charges and the comments. So this is just a quick demonstration to show the ability to peel off the sheets, to tear off the sheets, and restructure the layout to better match the way that the user uses an application. You can do this for any application throughout the system, and by saving the layout, it will save that layout for the logged in user, and also it's easy to revert to the standard by selecting the reset layouts to base. Okay, so it's also a good point to note that there's two types of sheets: the entry sheets, for instance the detail, where there's the entry for one particular record, and there's also the list sheets. So it shows a list of items, like we're showing here, under the lines, the list of the lines, and that's just redocked on me. Okay, once it's saved, it behaves better. Try one more time. Nope. Okay, and a demonstration of resetting the layouts to base. Layout settings will be lost, and then we're back to the base application. Another point to note is the currency toolbar when we are in a transaction application. We'll see in the top next to the navigation toolbar the currency of the transaction is US dollars. Okay, now the last part of the application is the options. So under Tools Options, there are a number of options to customize the applications, not customize, to personalize, to set options. We've already gone through the memory cache to make it faster to open up the application the next time it's opened. So hotkeys, there are quite a number of areas of the application, of the program, that can be tied to a particular hotkey. In this case, undo is Control Z as the normal Microsoft standard. Okay, there's also dialogues when there are pop-up confirmation screens, and you would like to stop those pop-ups or enforce those pop-ups. Then you can choose when updating, adding new records, deleting or undoing. And there's also general options where you can set the status bar, and you can see that I've set the status bar for the application to show the status, the user ID, the company, the site and the current time. So this is particularly useful in a support situation if you would like the user to take a screenshot of their screen if they're having a problem. They can send it to you and you can get the base information. Okay, so that's the basic overview of the program interface. Now let's just have a quick look at the three types of inquiries in standard Epicor. So for that we'll go back to the menu and we'll go down to the executive analysis menu. The first one is the read only, so it's the display only programs. They're called trackers. So we've already seen the customer tracker, and we'll have a quick look at this and we'll look at the user Addison. A couple of features of the customer tracker. They're showing customer detail by default. Under the financial invoices in particular, you can see open, closed or all invoices, and you can also see aging. By clicking the invoice aging button, you can get overview customer aging details for accounts receivable and credit management. As well as from the customer, you can see quote information, orders, jobs, customer return, RMAs, and other information. Okay, similarly for the sales order tracker called the order tracker, I don't believe I've turned on the caching option, so it takes a moment longer. And if we choose several sales orders, and then we can go and view the header information, lines, and the other information associated with the selected sales orders, including individual releases, the shipments, and resulting invoices. Okay. Something we didn't have a quick look at under the Actions menu, so I'll get out of the tracker and briefly just go back to the order entry, and just to quickly show that under the Actions, the context specific actions, you can do quite a lot of functionality at the order level or order line level if there was a sales order active, including printing of documentation such as sales order acknowledgement and the pro forma invoice. Just wanted to show the Actions menu and an example of where there were more options for the context of the sales order entry. Okay, so the second level of our inquiries that I would like to show is the status dashboards. So we'll just come back to the menu again, and this time under the status dashboards. So this, for instance, the sales order status. It's just an example where a dashboard can be set up for consolidating information for review purposes. The dashboards can be customized, so used as a base for then making further changes for the particular business need. There's also the sales order status, shipment status, sales order backlog, and for instance the part on hand status. The part on hand status can then have a view of the stock at a bin level, the on hand quantity at bin level, and also at various warehouses. If this particular item was stocked in multiple sites, it would show the sites with the quantity, the on-hand quantity. Okay, and the third level of inquiries in the standard is the executive dashboards. Now these executive dashboards are a kind of a BI applications. So for instance, site performance, or customer shipping performance, or supply performance. They do require a separate building of data of the data cubes in the background, which I haven't done for this demonstration, so I won't go into those applications specifically. So that's the end of our brief overview of the Epicor ERP10 interface navigation. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. This was a Whiteman-Online presentation. For more great content, subscribe to the Whiteman-Online YouTube channel and visit the website. I look forward to seeing you soon at Whiteman-Online.